Welcome, everybody, to the Wikia Fan vs. Critic. I'm Matt Atchity, Editor-in-Chief of RottenTomatoes.com. I'm joined today by Greater Good, representing the fan community. Greater Good, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, it's great to be on again.
We're going to be talking about the latest episode of Game of Thrones, Episode 6, The Laws of Gods and Men. This is the biggest news probably about Tyrion's character, so let's get into that. Tyrion's on trial, and there's a lot of testimony from various people who come up against him and kind of talk about him, but I think that we can all agree that Shay's testimony really kind of twists the knife for Tyrion. We see a terrible betrayal, and one of the questions that comes up is Shay's testimony, where, you know, it's very emotional and goes back through kind of some of the more intimate moments between Shay and Tyrion, is that an honest reflection of how she feels and comes from her sense of betrayal from Tyrion and his relationship with Sansa, or is she being paid off to say all of this?
Well, it's an interesting point because Shay's a very different character from how she is in the book. In the book, she's simply Tyrion's whore, not his lover, if you get my meaning. Like, she never really cared for him. She was only doing it for gold. And in the book, she didn't actually mind the fact that he was married to Sansa at all. Whereas Shay in the TV show was the complete opposite of that. So, yeah, I think that this was her own personal revenge. I don't think there was any other motivation behind it.
You know, I can't say that I agree with you completely there. I think that she's shown some emotion here, but I think that we're going to find out that she's been paid off all along. Shay is going to end up being shown to be a character that kind of technically was a whore all along and was getting paid to act a certain way with Tyrion and kind of keep him under control and get set up specifically to do this. So I would have to disagree with you there, and I think that we're going to find out that Shay was a character that Tyrion had really never trusted all along. Another thing that we want to talk about is we see Tyrion kind of lose his temper and get really frustrated and demand trial by combat. Greater Good, do you think that that is a legitimate justice system, or is it just kind of a story device being used here? Do you think that that's legitimate within the world that they've set up, or something that the writers are kind of shoehorning in to add some drama?
I think because of what a religious society Westeros is, they take it a lot more seriously than people would in real life. These trial by combats are hypocritical because, you know, they usually use fighters who don't represent the faith of the Seven at all, like Bronn in season 1, defending Tyrion at the Eyrie, kills his opponent in a pretty despicable way, and as Aaron points out, he doesn't fight.
Alright, I gotta cut you off there. I actually think used here, it's a really weird, kind of goofball dramatic effect being used by the writers here. We've gone through this serious trial. I feel like it would be as if you got one of the suspects in Law and Order demanding that. I don't think it fits with what's been happening up to now. I think it is kind of an overly dramatic effect, and I don't know that it really fits. I get why the writer's doing it, but I don't really agree with it. It took me out of the story a little bit.
It does seem a bit ridiculous considering what everything that had become up to at that point. But it is Tyrion's last resort, so I think it kind of has to seem even a bit ridiculous at the same time.
All right, so one last thing I want to bring up. You know, we see Tyrion get betrayed, and I think that we both have to hand it to Peter Dinklage's performance here. He's so good and so powerful. You know, here's the guy who's got the scars on his face from defending that city, and they've turned on him, and he's so angry. Like, we're seeing him go full Walter White here.
Oh God, absolutely. Like, Tyrion definitely reached his breaking point there. Like he said it himself, I'm on trial for being a dwarf, as I have been all life. He risked his own life to save all of them, and they've shown him no regard for it. In fact, they're trying to have him killed.
Yeah, and honestly, again, a devastating performance from Peter Dinklage. Something that I've been watching that clip over and over since then, because just the nuance of it, it's more than just bile. Like, you really feel that character's pain there.
Yeah, full props to Peter Dinklage on that.
All right, well, that's it for this week's Fan versus Critic. I think we had a couple of good arguments here, but again, I think we're both agreeing that Peter Dinklage is the man here. I want to thank Greater Good for joining us today. Thank you, Greater Good, for joining.
Absolutely.
And I'm Matt Atchity for Rotten Tomatoes. Make sure to join us next week for our next Fan versus Critic on Wikia. Thanks for watching today.